and we are back with Charlie the Great Glass Elevator for Chapter 12, Back to the Chocolate Factory. Well, what an exciting chapter that was a few days ago now, where we had the battle with the Vermicious Knids, and we were furiously getting away from them, and we had exploded them all, hadn't we, by coming through the Earth's atmosphere. And so Chapter 12, Back to the Chocolate Factory. First bit, crash. Yes, I bet they're going through that ceiling of theirs, aren't they? And then the noise of splintering wood and broken glass and absolute darkness and the most awful crunching sounds as the elevator rushed on and on, smashing everything before it. All at once the crashing noises stopped and the ride became smoother, and the elevator seemed to be travelling on guides or rails, twisting and turning like a roller coaster. And when the lights came on, Charlie suddenly realised that for the last few seconds he hadn't been floating at all. He had been standing normally on the floor. That's gravity coming back in, isn't it, children? Mr. Wonka was on the floor too, and so was Grandpa Joe and Mr. and Mrs. Bucket and the big bed. Joe and Mr. Bucket and Mrs. Bucket and Grandpa Josephine and Grandma Georgina and Grandpa George, well, they must have fallen right back onto the bed because they were now, all of them, standing on top of it and scrabbling to get under a blanket. "We're through," yelled Mr. Wonka. "We've done it, we're in." Grandpa Joe grabbed him by the hand and said, "Well done, sir. How splendid. What a magnificent job." "Where in the world are we now?" said Mrs. Bucket. "We're back, Mother," Charlie cried. "We're in the chocolate factory." "Well, I'm very glad to hear it," said Mrs. Bucket, "but didn't we come rather a long way round?" "It's true." "We had to," said Mr. Wonka, "to avoid the traffic." "I have never met a man," said Grandma Georgina, "who talks so much absolute nonsense." "A little nonsense now and then is relished by the wisest men," Mr. Wonka said. "Why don't you pay some attention where this crazy elevator's going?" said Grandma Georgina, "and stop footling about." "A little footling round about will stop you going up the spout," said Mr. Wonka. "What did I tell you?" said Grandma Georgina. "He's round the twist, he's logged as a beetle, he's dotty as a dingbat, he's got rats in the roof. I want to go home." "Too late," said Mr. Wonka. "We're there." The elevator stopped, the doors opened, and Charlie found himself looking out once again at the great chocolate room with the chocolate river and the chocolate waterfall where everything was eatable. Doesn't that seem like a long time ago that we were there, reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? The trees, the leaves, the grass, the pebbles, and even the rocks. And there to meet them were hundreds and hundreds of tiny Oompa Loompas, all waving and cheering. It was a sight that took one's breath away. Even Grandma Georgina was stunned into silence for a few seconds, but not for long. "Who in the world are those peculiar men?" she asked. "They're Oompa Loompas," Charlie told her. "They're wonderful, you'll love them." "Shh!" said Grandpa Joe. "Listen, Charlie, the drums are starting up again. They're going to sing." There they are, all hopping about. "Hallelujah," sang the Oompa Loompas. "Oh, hallelujah and hooray, our Willy Wonka's back today. We never thought you'd make it home, we thought you'd left us all alone. We knew that we would have to face some frightful creatures up in space. We even thought we heard the crunch of someone eating you for lunch." "All right," shouted Mr. Wonka, laughing and raising both hands. "Thank you for your welcome. Will some of you please help to get this bed out of here?" 50 Oompa Loompas ran forward and pushed the bed with the 3 old ones in it out of the elevator. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket, both looking completely overwhelmed by it all, wouldn't you though, followed the bed out. Then came Grandpa Joe, Charlie and Mr. Wonka. "Now," said Mr. Wonka, addressing Grandpa George, Grandma Georgina and Grandma Josephine, "up you hop out of that bed and let's get cracking. I'm sure you'll all want to lend a hand running the factory." "Who, us?" said Grandma Josephine. "Yes, you," said Mr. Wonka. "You must be joking," said Grandma Georgina. "I never joke," said Mr. Wonka. "Now, just you listen to me, sir," said Grandpa George, sitting up straight in bed. "You have got us quite into enough troubles and troubles and tumbles for one day." "And I've got you out of them too," said Mr. Wonka proudly. "And I'm going to get you out of that bed as well. You see if I don't." Ooh, well, a very quick little chapter there, my friends, and we shall next be reading Chapter 13, How Wonkavite Was Invented, tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Enjoy this beautiful sunshine. Now the restrictions are going to be lifted a bit more this week. I know that we'll all be getting out even more and maybe meeting up with a few people that we haven't seen previously. That will be exciting. exciting, won't it? Take care. Bye.